Hey there, I'm Frederick Levy and welcome to my video log. I'm writing a book on viral video and YouTube, and I thought that to illustrate some points in the book I would upload my own video log. So here it is, a little bit about myself. I am the owner of a firm called Management 101. We guide the careers of actors, musicians, writers, and directors. Let me tell you how I got started. I grew up in Boston and I moved to Los Angeles to attend college at the University of Southern California. While I was there, I did two very important things that were integral to my success later in my career. The first was networking, and of course, I bring that up to you because what you can do on sites like YouTube is networking and really, truly, with a community here, meet other people with similar interests and really help each other get to that next level of your career if that's your ambition. The other thing I did that was very important was I had an internship, and mine was on a TV show called Love Connection, which you may remember. Two and Two, Chuck Woolery. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. It actually led to my very first full-time job in the business as a guest coordinator on the show. And I would sit in a room with a group of people and try to find out who I thought made wonderful television. In other words, usually pick the people I knew would probably have a terrible date, and they'd come on the couch, talk about it, complain to Chuck, and we at home, of course, would just laugh our butts off. I did that for about 6 months, worked on a couple of other early cheesy love reality shows. Studs was one of them, and a slew that you probably never heard of. And then I decided that is not what I wanted to do in this business, and so I quit. And I started temping, and I worked almost exclusively for a year at Walt Disney Studios. And this was an amazing experience because I really got a first-hand education in how a studio operates. I worked for casting and production and music and licensing and you name it. It covered pretty much the gamut of all the studio departments, and I really got to see the synergy between the different departments at a studio. And this is something that they don't teach you in film school. Eventually, I ended up taking a job as an assistant to a guy named Marty Katz. And Marty had previously been the executive vice president of all of Walt Disney Studios during the 80s. He was the #2 guy right below Jeffrey Katzenberg at the time. He had supervised productions like Roger Rabbit, Dick Tracy, Down and Out in Beverly Hills, The Rocketeer, every TV show, animated project, theme park attraction ride that came out of the studio at that time. And he had segued from his executive position into a producing deal. And that's when I met him. I started off as his assistant, which is how most people in Hollywood start. It's not a very glamorous job. I made the coffee, I picked up the dry cleaning, I scheduled the racquetball games, I answered the phones. But apparently I made damn good coffee because within 6 months I was promoted to story editor. And story editor is like the junior level executive on the development totem pole. And as a story editor, what you basically do is read a ton of scripts. And boy, did I read a lot of scripts, probably thousands of scripts. And unfortunately, most of those scripts were terrible. Actually, that's not true. It's not that they're terrible. It's just that they're mediocre. It seems to me with everything that's available to writers today, between Sid Field's books and Robert McKee's story structure seminars and Final Draft and Movie Magic screenwriting software and all the scripts that are available online and on the internet, everybody knows plot point and character development and 3-act structure. People can seem to pump out a fairly mediocre script. Yeah, they can, and I commend them. However, trying to find that needle in the haystack and what is that amazing screenplay is really difficult and challenging, and that's what I tried to do. Anyways, I did that for about 6 months. I got promoted again to Director of Development, or DOD as they like to call it in the biz. I was still reading scripts, but I was also taking a hand in more actively trying to bring material into the company, working with agents, with managers who represented screenwriters, and of course with writers themselves who I had developed relationships with. I did that for about 6 months, got promoted yet again to vice president of the company. I continued to do all of the things I did before, maybe barring getting the coffee, but I also had an active hand in trying to actively set up the projects, try to find an A-list star or director to attach to our project, and then of course try to shop it to the studios or find independent financiers to actually give us the money so we could go make a film. I was at the company for a total of 8.5 years. While I was there, we worked on such films as Titanic, the Jim Cameron epic, Man of the House with Chevy Chase, Mr. Wrong with Ellen DeGeneres, Reindeer Games with Ben Affleck, Imposter with Gary Sinise, The Four Feathers with Heath Ledger, and The Great Raid with James Franco. I left that company to produce a film on my own. I was a producer on a film called Frailty with Matthew McConaughey, and I continue to produce today. My last film was called Unknown with Jim Caviezel and Greg Kinnear, and I'm currently producing my very first TV pilot for Nickelodeon, which I'm very excited about. While I was producing films and while I was running Marty Katz Productions, I had an opportunity to write my first book. It was called Hollywood 101, and it's about how to break into the film industry. I'm going to do separate blogs to talk about some of my books. I've written 4 books to date. I'm actually working on my 5th, the one I mentioned earlier about viral video. And I'll tell you a little bit about them, like I said, in separate blogs. But what I did want to say is that first book really changed my life. It almost created a career epiphany. I used to get letters from all over the world that said something like, "Dear Frederick, thank you for writing this book. It's changed my life. I'm packing up my truck, I'm moving to LA, and I finally have a game plan on how I can pursue my Hollywood dream." And to be completely honest with you, I was totally overwhelmed. I wasn't expecting this kind of response, but it did get me thinking. I liked how my words had this major effect on so many people. I mean, when I started, it was all trial and error, basically. So I started to think that maybe what I should be doing is management, where I could, on a daily basis, really help people, break into the business or get to that next level of their career, whatever it happens to be. At the same time, friends of mine who had a management firm happened to approach me about helping them start a production division for their management company, basically producing films and TV shows for their star clients. So I thought, what a perfect place. But if I'm going to be at a management firm, I told them, you have to teach me the management business. And they did. At first, I thought I would just represent writers and directors, because coming from a production development background, that's really what I knew. But I did have one friend who was an actress who I'd done a movie with several years earlier, who always said to me, "If you ever become a manager, I want you to manage me." So I called her up one day out of the blue and said, "Well, I'm a manager. I don't know anything about actors, but I'm willing to give it a shot if you are, and if it works, great. And if not, let's just part ways and still be friends." Anyways, we had a lot of fun and a lot of success, and the pilot season was coming. And that's the time each year when they cast all the series regulars for next season's new crop of fall shows. And my partners at this company said, "Why don't you sign a couple more actors and see if you can get somebody on a TV show?" So I signed a couple more actors and ended up putting a kid on a show called One Tree Hill. And I thought, wow, I really have a knack for doing this, and I really love working with actors. I think I want to spend more time working with actors and less time focused trying to find projects for your clients. So I left, and I started my own company, Management 101, which I founded about 5 years ago, and I've got a partner with a small office in New York, as well as Los Angeles, and another manager that works with us. Between the 3 of us, we've got about 30 clients. We're a small but very active company, and we love what we do. That's who I am. You're going to see a lot more from me. I'm trying out different ideas for videos. You'll see me try a couple of different formats, see what works. And again, as I do a little more work on the book I'm writing, I'll give you some more info and let you know when you can find it in bookstores in the near future. All right, thanks for watching, and hey, leave me a comment if you like.